Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am gonna do, my eye is twitching. I don't know if it's noticeable, but this eye is twitching and I'm assuming it's because of the stress and stuff that's going on lately. But while I decided to do a story time, I'm gonna do a diamond art. My soon-to-be sister-in-law loves diamond art, and unfortunately she has an eye condition where she's starting to go blind, and she unfortunately can't do it any longer. And ever since she got me into it, it's just something I really enjoy doing. It's just I haven't been able to do it in a while. I've had so much going on. But with my daughter back in school, I just dropped my fiance off at work. I got this for my fiance. His favorite Star Wars character is Darth Vader. And I want to put this together for him. I want to put this together for him and put it in, cut it out nicely, and I want to put it in a really nice picture frame and wrap it up and give it to him as a gift for Christmas. I've got my whole kit here, and then I've got the colors that came with the diamond art itself. I guess I've got two different story times, but I wanted to start off with I want to start off with how me and my fiance actually met, because I know I have never told that story, and it's a it's a very interesting story. Very interesting, I might add. So I've got this and my little funnel. I've got my little diamond art tool. Got those. I've even got the, this is to cover them when you're trying to do them in sections. I've got those. I've just got to, okay. My eye is twitching so bad. I don't like it. Good God. Really annoying. Alright, I gotta get a drink. Now, I have been thinking lately that I might want to do a YouTube live for you guys to kind of get to know me a little bit better. But fuckaroo. This is where I really need, I know what I can do. Put that in there. I am realizing that there are specific tools that I am needing more and more, so we're gonna have to get some more tools to be able to do this diamond art. Come on. The tips come off. The tip that came with this one is a little dirty, and I don't have the tool I need to get the, oh shit, it won't fit. Okay. Well, sorry guys, I will get to the story time in a second. I apologize. It's just, we're just gonna use the pen that comes with it. I just put a thing on it. We're gonna go ahead and get the wax here. Okay, there's the wax. All right, so I'm gonna backtrack just a little bit because in order to explain how I met my fiance, I have to explain how I met my daughter's biological father. So here we go. All right, so I moved to a small town. I mean, it's not really small anymore. I moved to a small town in Ohio when I was literally 1 month before my 11th birthday. We were moving. It was the summer between 5th and 6th grade. It was right before I started middle school. And I have gone through okay, sorry, I had to count these out. I have went through a lot of classes, a lot of schools, a lot of bullies. I struggled tremendously in school, one way or another. But 6th grade is when things seem to have not been as bad. And before I knew it, I had started making a couple friends. But at 11 years old, because of how my home life is, and that's a story for another day. But because of how my home life was, I was always scared to be doing something wrong. I was always trying to please people and do whatever made them happy. And there were times that these other classmates would ask me to do things. And at the time, I couldn't comprehend that they were just messing with me. I was very gullible and naive at 11. But needless to say, I ended up making a couple friends. One was named Kayla, and she was nice. But because I was coming into a school system, literally in middle school, all these other kids had plenty of time to know one another, to start having issues with one another. Back then, we used to say, "You got a beef?" Why? I don't know. But this girl, Kayla had a problem with another classmate. And I guess this had been going on for a couple years already. And her name was Lydia. Now, at 11 years old, I had already known that I was bisexual, that I was attracted to boys and girls. I just never really acted on any of them because I wasn't really comfortable and confident in myself that anybody would like me. But Lydia had always told me she was a twin and she had a twin sister and that they were identical. Funny part of the story was she and her twin sister were never in the same room together. They supposedly switched places all the time, but they did not. I'm just cutting these up, sorry. If you're wondering what I'm doing with scissors, that's what I'm doing, so sorry. But this girl, Kayla, had tried to tell me for years she does not have a twin, she's never had a twin, and that she's just messing with me. And I got very angry, and I started defending her. And I said, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know. She lives with her mother, and Lydia lives with her dad. And she kept trying to tell me that was not the case, and I refused to listen. Well, from 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, Lydia and I would always hang out outside and at lunch. I wasn't the type of kid that cut school or class, ever. So when I mean we were always outside together, it was during recess. Yeah, it was during recess. So, sorry, my eye keeps twitching. But I didn't want to listen. And I just kept hanging out with that crowd. Sometime from 6th into 7th grade, Lydia and I would be outside frequently. And frequently, she would have one of her siblings would show up in the back of the school on the playground. I mean, we didn't really have a playground in middle school. We had basketball court, and we had like the 4 squares. But 9 times out of 10, people would stand in groups and we would just talk. And we would just talk. But there was a lot of time one of Lydia's younger siblings would cut school, and he would show up when we were out at recess. And it was Lydia's younger brother, and his name was I'm not sure if I should say it, but at the same time, I just don't give a fuck. Hold on, I'm looking for a pen. Give me a sec here. I am looking for a pen. My mom usually has a pen in the wrapping bag. Sorry. And he would come and see his older sister at recess. Well, over time, and he was a couple grades behind us. He was in like 4th or 5th grade. I think at this point he was in 5th grade and we were in 7th. Well, he, over time at him seeing me, and I never really talked to him. I didn't. I just thought, you know, this is a sibling thing, you know, they need to handle this themselves. They don't need me butting into the conversation and putting in my input or my opinion. So I didn't really have any conversation with him. And over time, he at one point had told me, one day we will be together and I'm going to marry you. And he thought it was the funniest thing to say. And he had a crush on me from that time on. Then after middle school, starting high school, and if I'm not much mistaken, I had to take summer school the summer before high school started. And I remember being very scared and not happy about it. But I did go to summer school. And then when I started high school, I didn't have the same lunch time as Lydia any longer. We hardly ever saw each other in high school. I would see her in passing. I'd say hello. Then my sophomore year, my sophomore year of high school, I ended up having surgery at 15 years old because I had a really large tumor on my tailbone. And they said it was the size of a softball, and they had to scrape it off of my tailbone itself. So, luckily I was knocked out for that one. So sophomore year, there was a lot of issues and a lot of healing from the surgery. Finally got over that surgery, healed up perfectly fine. It took over a year to heal. So my first and second year of high school, I had a really big issue with one of my teachers. I was in special needs classes because of my learning. And to be honest, from somebody who's been in normal classrooms with the regular kids versus somebody who was in a special needs classroom working on classwork that was to their level, I will take that special needs room any day. any day. But one of my aides in that classroom was completely making my life miserable every single day. It got so bad that my mom had went up there constantly, and it didn't really help. In fact, it would make things worse because the teacher didn't like getting caught, and then over time I stopped saying things. Well, my junior year of high school, I went to school for a couple weeks. I think it was like 3 weeks I was at my local high school. And then I went to homeschooling through K through 12, my junior year of high school. And then when it came to my senior year of high school, I was thinking, you know, I want to be like those other seniors. I want to go to prom. I want to go to dances. I want to be with my friends, the friends that I know and I have made since I've started this school system. So I went back. My only concern at that point was I was worried whether or not this teacher was still going to be a problem. I was nervous that this teacher was still going to be a problem. And when it came down to student orientation night, I went in with my mom and we went straight to the principal's office, and then we found out that the teacher that was giving me problems no longer worked in the school. So I was very happy, very, very happy. So I went back my senior year. Senior year started, and then all of a sudden, I was at lunch, and I think I was trying to find people that I knew. Some of my friends were kind of all scattered. We had like 2 different ends of a lunchroom. So some friends sat on one side and the other friends sat on the other side. And there were times where I looked to see who was sitting where, because sometimes certain groups were better because other ones, there were more issues, more drama. And I didn't like that. So I had went over to one side of the lunchroom to see who was sitting. And with my ADHD, I get very curious. Well, there was this one table in the lunchroom where there was a bunch of kids just surrounding. And all of a sudden, I just started thinking, is someone choking? Is someone fighting? And I just felt like I needed to go see what was going on. Well, I went over to go see what was going on. And I saw this kid, teenage boy, sitting down, and everybody was talking. And then all of a sudden I saw Lydia. Lydia appeared. And I was like, oh, what are you doing over here? And this kid looks up, looks at me, smiles, and I'm like, I know you. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, shit. And I turned and I walked away. Part of the reason why I walked away was because the way this kid looked, he was kind of cute. I'm just being honest. He was kind of cute. And over time, me and this kid ended up becoming a thing. And it was Lydia's little brother, younger brother. His name is Justin, and Justin and I started dating. We were dating for a couple months, and then all of a sudden we were like walking home together, and we were holding hands and sitting at lunch and walking each other to class and, you know, all that stuff. And then he started asking me to help him pick up, he has a younger sister, and her name is, we're gonna call her Little C, and we would walk and go pick her up from school. She was in middle school at the time. Then I'm really confused. Sorry guys, I'm just looking at these and... Alright, so we would go pick her up, walk her home. There were times he let me sit in his family's living room and we would just sit there and hang out. He showed me this little place in our area called Cops Cafe, and I honestly never knew about this place until he showed it to me, but it's for people who have a hard time getting food or beverages. This is like a local help type, nonprofit type organization. But little did I know how dysfunctional this kid's family truly was. His stepmother ended up finding out we were dating. Damn it. Sorry guys, my beads are like sticking to me here. And I don't know why. Oops. But his stepmother, because his biological mother is not in the picture. His biological mother was diagnosed with schizophrenia many years ago and had abandoned and lost custody of him and his older two siblings, because he also has an older brother, but his older brother is way older. But like I was saying, his stepmom ended up finding out, and I was 17, okay? I was 17, about to be 18 in August. This kid was 14, about to be 15, and was lying about his age. He lied about his age. Why did I choose to believe him? I don't know, you guys. I don't. I really don't know. But I did. We ended up not speaking or talking or anything. We were no longer together. I ended up graduating. I graduated with honors. I graduated with honors. I did try to go to college, to actually 2 different colleges I tried. But because of my learning issues and not 100% knowing what I want to do. It was very hard, and I stopped going to college. I don't have a degree. The best I have is a high school diploma. But hold on. I'm gonna say, because I was like 22, okay? So I graduated at 17 years old, because my graduation day was June 3rd of 2012. My birthday is August 9th, okay? So 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So 5 years, 4 years, sorry. 4 years go by, and I don't talk to this, I don't talk to Justin, I don't see Justin, nothing, all right? And come June, or come 22 years old, and no, I was 20. I was 20. Sorry. I was 20 years old. I was 20, and I had gotten a random message on Facebook from him saying how we're older now, we're not in high school anymore, and that he still had a lot of feelings for me. And at that point in my life, my parents had split up. My dad had moved out. My dad had gotten a life-threatening condition, made it through it, still wasn't in my life. And honestly, I've never really had a really positive, good male role model in my life. That is something that a lot of males in my side of the family seems to lack or struggle with. So, I never really had any contact with my father at this point, never really had a good relationship with my father at this point. And Justin ends up coming back into my life. The first few weeks to a few months was like it was in high school, that puppy love, so excited to be with each other. Oh, okay. Sorry. We got back together, and we were together all the time. He stayed at the house a lot. My mom wasn't really happy that he was staying at the house a lot. And then after being back together for maybe 2.5 months, we ended up starting to get a little bit more touchy-feely, if you know what I mean. And then over time, my mom ended up coming to speak with us, and she's like, hey, this is looking pretty serious. Like, are you guys wanting to make this like a permanent thing? Are we wanting to have babies? You know, what's going on? And I have always wanted to have kids, for as long as I can remember. And he had said, yes, I want to have children. I want to be a father. And he had kept saying how he was going to be a really good father because his mother wasn't in the picture and hadn't been in the picture most of his life. And we ended up conceiving my daughter in November of 2015. And then the September 9th of 2016, my daughter was born. Now, the second I had gotten that positive pregnancy test was the second this man, because he was 19, he was supposed to be a man. By the time I got pregnant with my kid, I was 21 years old and he was 19. Oh no, he was 18. He was 18 and I was 21 when I found out I was pregnant. And then at 22, because my birthday is in August and my daughter's is in September, I turned 22 literally the month before she was born, and he had turned 19 that January. So he was supposed to be a man. Well, I was crying all the time when I was pregnant. He was always threatening to kill himself. He was always threatening to leave, that he would never see me again. His stepmother was always threatening to go to social services and deem me unfit as a mother to get custody of my daughter. Come to the point where I went in labor. Oh my God, you guys, going into labor. I mean, it was fun. It was exciting. It was when the pain started getting super intense. That's when it's just like got so unbearable. This supposable man was blowing up my phone, bitching me out because I wasn't giving him any attention while I was in labor. And that my mom was by my side helping me through labor and not him. But he wouldn't get off his fucking phone long enough to help me through labor. So he is what my mom would call a man baby. Well, over time, you know, my daughter always was first. I mean, an infant can't really care for themselves on their own, not quite yet. So he didn't like that I was giving the baby more attention than him. And over time, because of his narcissistic and abusive behavior, my mother ended up getting more of the responsibility, because the way this man would get angry is ridiculous, you guys. It is ridiculous how angry he would get. And looking back, I was stupid. I was stupid for staying as long as I did. I really, really was. And I'm sad that I dealt with all that for that long. But you know what? I would have never met my fiance otherwise. And I will explain that in a second. God dang it. I'm literally dropping all these things again. You guys, I have shit tickets. Good God. So from the time I gave birth to my daughter in 2016, all the way until April 21st of 2020, I think. Yeah, it was April 21st, 2020, I believe. If not, it was April 21st, 2021. It's either the year of 2020 or the year of 2021. I can't quite remember. But I had woken up, and it was around 9 or 10 in the morning. I had woken up, and he was on the phone talking very loud to someone. And I'm like, who the hell are you talking to? Oh, my parents. And I'm like, huh? Because at this point, he had made it sound like his parents were so abusive, and he didn't want them in his life, and didn't want to talk to him or anything. Well, he left. That day he left. I woke up, he says, I'm talking to my parents, I'm leaving. I said, you're leaving? What? Why? What happened? I don't remember the answer I got. All I know is after all the times that, I mean, think about it, you guys. That's like 4 years of him threatening to leave. All the time, threatening to leave. And I was just done. I was done. So, at this point, he leaves. He takes his shit, he packs it up, and he leaves. As he walks out the door, he pats my daughter on the head like she's a dog. I had dealt with being physically abused. I had dealt with verbal abuse, emotional abuse, and some sexual abuse while with this so-called man, okay? So for 4 years, I was in a constant fearful state and constantly worried when was the next time I was going to get hurt. And I didn't want that anymore. I was done. I was tired of the threats. I was tired of living that way. And at that point, it was time for me to live my life the way I was supposed to. If I was meant to be a single mother, so be it. My daughter was 3 years old when he left. She was 3 years old when he left. And he left, like I said, April 21st. Now, whether it was the year 2020 or the year 2021, I'm not 100% sure. But from April into June, I was so scared of this man coming back and hurting me and my daughter that I continued to be with him even though he was no longer living in my house. Because it was my house. The house was in my name. He was nowhere near on the papers at all. But at some point, he ended up he was at his parents' house, and randomly, his parents' house randomly caught fire. And they ended up at a hotel in our town. And I had went up there in secret. Nobody knew I was going up there. They may have had an idea, but they didn't know. I had went to this hotel to be with him, but because of his family, we had to be very sneaky about it. Well, come June, it had to have been 2020. June, like 18th of 2020, I had gotten a message from Justin saying, "You've got to come to the hotel and meet my friend Ashley." And this man has literally thought that I would do perverse things in the past. So my guess is he thought a little 3-something was going to happen. And I don't know what he thought was going to happen, but it so was not going to happen. So I go to the hotel. I meet him in the lobby. We go up to his friend Ashley's hotel room. And the door opens and a and a 5'7" man opens the door and just looks at me. The second I met Ashley was the second I felt like I wasn't with Justin. I looked at Ashley and I was like, thinking in my head, damn. And then me and Justin started hanging out with Ashley in his hotel room. Well, there were moments where Ashley and I would meet, just me and him. At this point, I didn't say Justin, we're together, Justin, we're not together. There was none of that. There was no confirm nor deny that me and him were together. But for the first time, I felt like I had found somebody that I was truly meant to be with. And this is a man who knew something wasn't right. And then when we started hanging out together, it was different. It was different. And over time, when I was with Ashley, I stopped getting scared. I started feeling like I was changing, that I was learning, that things were just getting better. And over time, I think me and Ashley were hanging out for maybe 3 weeks before I decided to meet with Justin again on my own. I tried kissing him on the lips, and then I felt nothing. I told him, I said, we're over. I walked away and I went back to Ashley's room and finished the rest of the time I was going to spend there in his room. I haven't had contact with Justin really since. He doesn't ask about my daughter. He doesn't provide for her. He doesn't do anything for her. Now, I will go ahead and go. What I'm going to do is, you guys, since this is like 50 minutes already, I'm going to make this into 2 parts. So I really apologize for you guys that are going to watch this and hear this story. I'm so sorry it's so long, but this is going to be part 1. All right. Please, you guys, comment, like, and subscribe. Send these videos to whoever you feel like will need them and benefit from them. Comment whether or not you guys think me doing a YouTube live is a good idea. And I will see you guys for my next one. Bye, guys.